Right, I'm going to start with some tough love. For those of you who use demographics, which I think is a majority of us marketers, demographics don't actually work. There's been studies on them to show that are actually less accurate than just picking things out your ass and totally, making it up. So even though we use them, maybe we shouldn't, and maybe it's time to move on to something else. Here's an example just to kind of prove that point. You have the Prince of Wales, you have Ozzy Osbourne, and you've probably seen this going around on LinkedIn. Both male, both born in 1948, both raised in the UK, both live in a castle, both married twice, both rich, and both famous. Now, on paper, they seem exactly the same, but when it comes to marketing to them, completely different. Completely different goals, completely different aims, completely different pain points. So technically you wouldn't actually market to them the same way because it wouldn't work. So what can we use instead? The whole purpose of this presentation is to introduce you to something called psychographics and also take a look at something called mindset-based targeting as well. So let's start at the beginning with what are psychographics. So psychographics use psychological cues such as personality data and mindsets to segment target audiences. So rather than just looking at kind of basic data like, where they live, how old they are, what they do for a job, it goes a little bit deeper to actually analyze kind of what's going on inside their brain and what makes them tick and, more psychological drivers to that. For the purpose of this presentation, we're also going to be looking at mindsets. So, what are mindsets? Everybody's probably heard of them, but from a psychological perspective, there's a little bit of theory behind it. So, they are implicit theories, so beliefs people hold about human characteristics, which shape people's motivations. There are two different types of mindsets. So, you have fixed mindset and you have growth mindset. So, fixed mindset is where people believe that intelligence and talent are innate. So, they believe that you're born with a certain amount of talent, you're born with a certain amount of intelligence, and that can't be changed. You're either, highly intelligent, you're clever, or you're a bit stupid. And there's nothing you can really do about that. When it comes to feedback, people with a fixed mindset don't tend to like feedback that much because they want to be the best at everything and they feel a little bit threatened when people give feedback because they feel like they're not good enough at something. They also feel a bit threatened by other people's success as well because, again, they feel like it makes them look not good enough and that somebody else is doing it better than them when they want to be the top of what they're doing. When it comes to growth mindset, however, these are people who believe their intelligence and talent can be improved. So even if you're not very good at some certain skill, you can improve it by working hard at it. People with a growth mindset love challenges and are also really passionate about learning opportunities as well. But where does this all come from? So this is the work of a brilliant psychologist called Carol Dweck. And she specialized or spent her career studying mindsets and motivation and development and came up with mindset theory, where she looked at fixed and growth mindsets and how this impacts things like intelligence and learning. It's had a really, really big impact on education, parenting as well, and also business. She's written a book called Mindset. So if you're looking for some follow-up materials or something to read, if you enjoy psychology or something, definitely give that a read. It's got some great insights that you can definitely take away from it. And the thing about mindsets is they actually shape consumer behavior, and consumer behavior is everywhere. And as SEOs, we want to be, getting that piece of the pie. The thing with us as SEOs, though, is that we're often, not often, we're always taught that in order to rank better, what we need to do is work on things like on-page optimization, on-page best practices, technical SEO, page speed, link building, all of that kind of lovely stuff. Whereas maybe if you give consumer psychology a go, that can and implement that into your SEO and content strategies, that can actually help you, take your website to the next level and actually increase those conversions. And there's so many little easy tricks that you can do, which can double conversions just by, for example, changing a title or something like that. So let's take a look at how it's done. So mindsets actually shape how consumers respond to marketing stimuli. People with a fixed mindset incorporate brands into their sense of self. So they use brands as a way of signaling their identity to others. They're more than a lifestyle choice. People with fixed mindsets also use them to prove their status as well. So for them, these brands are basically showing to the world who they are. So if you have something like, like a luxury car brand or luxury goods, e-commerce stores, designer goods, that sort of thing, this is where targeting fixed mindset people can be really useful. How can we use this in marketing? So here's a few examples. So when it comes to fixed mindset marketing, you need to focus on the ease of use of your products and services because these are people who want a result from your product. They don't want to put in the work to get there themselves with the aid of your product. Focus on performance-related goals. And also what you can do is talk about how attractive your products will make them look because again, they're using your products to signal, and that's what they want to hear. You can try comparison. So, for example, I was once the slowest at something, but now I'm the fastest, and so on. Get your consumers to imagine the traits that they could have with your product, because again, this is all about improving their status, improving their image. So they want to improve those traits. Also, make sure that you emphasize the image that your product conveys as well. Growth mindset consumers, on the other hand, prefer effort-based goals. So they're after products that fix the issue that they're facing. They want the product to help them achieve a certain goal, and they're willing to put the work in to do that. Again, how this works in marketing, it's a little bit different from the fixed mindset stuff that we just looked at. But what you need to do is show how your brand can help them grow. Focus on things like learning related goals. What you'll need to do as well is explain how your product and service works in detail so they can get a deeper understanding and understand how it works. Show how you meet your consumers' learning and improvement goals. Make sure that you emphasize the quality of a product as well, because that's something that's really important to growth mindset people as well. When it comes to marketing, as marketers, we're always taught about the importance of pain points. When it comes to, for example, things like pain points, maybe they're not always the best idea. So here's an example. We reduce the amount of calories in our food by 30%. Sounds like great, right? Sounds like they've improved. Sounds like it would go down really well. Well, to a growth mindset people, yes, it would go down really well because, you've improved your services, you've grown, you've dealt with feedback. That's great. Whereas fixed mindset people would actually have a negative reaction to that because their first thought would be, why was the product broken? Why did you release it in its former form? So you need to be really careful when you're framing kind of negative things and improvements. You need to frame them as a greater part of improvements, not focus on sole individual things that could be construed as, broken products. And also make sure that you avoid highlighting every single reduction as well, because that can make you look bad too. So when it comes to mindsets, how do we actually find out what your target audience's mindsets are and how to target them? Well, there's a couple of ways that we can do that. The first one is through behavioral cues. So we can take a look at what fixed mindset people are like. So fixed mindset people want results quicker. They purchase prestigious brands. They like expert recommendations as well. When it comes to keywords and the stuff that they search for, they like keywords like proven, top rated, you know, anything that can help them, be the best or prove their worth. And they're also more into one-time purchases as well. When it comes to growth mindset, again, totally different. People with a growth mindset prefer experimentation. They like learning over time. They like personal growth. They search for keywords like improvement or journey-based, and they're more interested in subscriptions and courses and progress and stuff like that. Another thing that you can do is you can implement surveys. So you can start asking your target audience or your customers kind of things like what matters most to you, proving yourself or improving yourself. And that'll give you an idea if they're fixed or growth mindset. When you face a challenge, you tend to avoid it until you're confident or take it as a chance to grow. Again, that's a good way of looking at fixed or growth mindset. You can also use surveys absolutely everywhere. So you can have this in, for example, onboarding quizzes, lead magnets, post-purchase surveys, or wherever you see fit. Something else that you can do is social media and text analysis. So, in some of the other presentations that I've talked about how people can scrape people's social media data and take a look and analyze the language that they use in order to get insights about them and the target audience that they're targeting. So what you can take a look at is for things like, fixed language. So this makes me look successful. I don't want to fail. I'm not an next person. Whereas growth language is this is helping me grow. Mistakes help me improve. I'm not there yet, but I'm learning. And you can actually create tools yourself, which you can train to analyze this data. So you don't actually have to go through tons and tons of social media profiles. You can scrape it all, get it analyzed, and then you'll just have the findings and you'll be able to find out what sort of consumers that you have. Other tools that you can use as well are things like customer support interactions. So you can look at the tone that people use. Do they get angry and frustrated easily? Or are they more willing to, explore new features by themselves? You can look at things like psychographic segmentation. So, status focused, results driven means that they're fixed mindset, journey orientated and curious is more growth mindset. And the thing that you really, really have to do is when you're coming up with ad copy or any kind of content, A/B test it, because you might find that certain people may not be as growth mindset as you thought, and so on. And how do we use this in content? So when it comes to creating content, you can use this for any type of content. You can use this for email campaigns, social media, creating on-page SEO content. What you need to do is, first of all, kind of get a deeper understanding of the psychological profiles that you're going to be targeting. So, for example, you have their core beliefs. So people with a fixed mindset kind of believe that abilities are fixed and need to be proven. They need to prove their worth. Motivation is validation, success, and status. When it comes to language, they prefer clear, authoritative, or performance-oriented language. When it comes to risk tolerance, they don't like risks, so their tolerance is low and they want guaranteed results. When it comes to the tone of content that you need to write, it needs to be expert-backed, confident, polished. On the other hand, you've got growth mindset people, and their core beliefs or abilities can grow with effort and time. The motivation there as well is improvement, mastery, challenge, learning, that kind of stuff. When it comes to language preference as well, make sure that you're using encouraging, process focused, learning orientated language. Risk tolerance as well. They're okay with trial and failure and learning, so they're slightly higher than people with fixed mindsets. And content tone as well. Make sure that it's open, exploratory, and inclusive. When it comes to writing content for fixed mindset people, make sure that you emphasize expertise and status. Use authority. So use words like trusted by top professionals. Make sure that you're highlighting performance so we see results 200% faster. And also make sure you use social proof as well. So this is where you could be using influencers in your campaigns. When it comes to fixed mindset as well, keep content clean and polished. So make sure that you provide answers, avoid ambiguity or uncertainty, and make sure as well that you're using structured formats. So things like 5 tips or the guide to whatever. Again, when it comes to language, prove your skills is a great thing to use. Show that you're the best at what you do. Again, status, being the best, and things like take your place amongst the top 1%. Again, that really works for fixed mindset people. Make sure that you offer quick wins and final outcomes because, again, these are people who are buying your product to basically skip to the end to get the results. So having things like ready-made templates, certifications, ability to get certified quickly works really well too. The best content types for fixed mindset people are things like case studies. Make sure that you have measurable outcomes in there as well. Comparison posts, awards, credentials, expert reviews, and also try things like webinars with high status speakers. So again, these are all nice and easy things that you can implement into your overall marketing strategies, implement them into your SEO content, and you'll see the benefits everywhere. For growth mindset, again, you need to emphasize the process and learning. So you can try words like explore, try, grow, experiment. You can use titles that are a bit more out there. So, for example, like what I learned from failing at beginner's guide to X. Try as well to create community and share journeys so that people feel like they're not alone. And you can also do this by creating, peer stories, behind the scenes, progress blogs, that kind of thing as well. Also encourage self-discovery. So ask them, what does this mean for them? Why is it so important to them? And you can offer things like reflective exercises, quizzing, journaling, stuff like that. When it comes to failure, again, it's okay for growth mindset people to talk about failure. Don't do it for fixed mindset people. But you can frame it as a learning opportunity. So you can put, for example, here's how we failed, let's move forward. Or share your learning progress and invite others to do the same so they can see an improvement in what they're doing. The best type of content you have for growth mindset people is, for example, beginner-friendly tutorials, experiments and open challenges. Podcast interviews with personal growth journeys are really popular as well, and learning focused newsletters as well. So again, these are stuff that your marketing department should be doing already, so you can just tweak them, and again, you'll see results pretty quickly. Just to sum up, as I know that was quite a lot of information, here's a quick cheat sheet. So for the audience, for fixed mindset people, focus on results and mastery. Language style should be expert and confident, and the content angle should be proof of success. When it comes to growth, focus on effort and exploration, use curious and collaborative language, and also make sure that the content angle is things of learning and change and stuff like that. Now, there's one more spanner that we can add to the works, and that is dual mindset. So some companies genuinely have a target audience who is made up of fixed and growth mindset people. So how do you go about that? Well, this is where you need to be clever and you need to combine the two messaging. So here's some examples of some titles. So you have, for example, how I became a top 1% designer and the 7 skills I had to learn the hard way. So that appeals to fixed mindset people because of the achievement and status, and the growth mindset people because of the learning through effort. The exact strategy that helped me land a 100K client and what I would do differently next time. So again, high performance and success for the fixed mindset people, reflection and growth for the growth mindset people. Want to be the best? Here's how to keep improving every week. Again, fixed mindset up here, be the best. And then for growth, continuous growth. And then finally, we've got, for example, from struggling to confident, the framework that helped me master public speaking. So again, that's transformation, and that is also mastery through learning as well. When it comes to landing page copy for dual mindset people, there's a few ways that you can do that. So again, some more examples of copy are, for example, get certified by experts and learn the skills to keep evolving. Crush your goals while building habits that last. Speak like a native, learn like a lifelong learner. So the more that you kind of learn about this type of messaging, you can begin to see kind of the telltale signs of it. So you've got the beginning bit for growth, fixed mindset people, and then you follow up with what's needed for growth mindset people. So again, as I've just mentioned, and you can see from the examples, lead with the fixed mindset hook. So talk about result or status, and then layer in the growth messaging. Use imagery that reflects both winning and their journey, and also use verbs, for example, like master, crush, dominate. Yeah, this is probably where something like skyrocket would come in as well for fixed mindset people, and then things like explore, learn, improve, and grow for growth mindset people. When it comes to digital PR as well, you can actually use this kind of knowledge to improve your digital PR as well. So what you can do is you can actually take a look and filter out for publications that are more popular with either fixed mindset people, growth mindset people. So for example, diet, weight loss, they may be fixed mindset people who want results fast from your product. Whereas, say, learning, cooking, something like that, it may be more people who are growth mindset who want to learn how to do things. So learn more about your target audience, use these to filter, and then you can create great digital PR campaigns and tailor the content to people's mindsets. And then, you'll get really great results. So again, this is why using platforms like WordPress can be really useful, because they can help with the filtering. And finally, let's finish off with some real life examples. So you've got Ryanair. Ryanair are a great example of fixed mindset marketing. Their whole thing is about we'll get you there for less. It's a minimal experience, as anyone who's ever flown with Ryanair will know. And it's more for people who, care about the outcome, not the journey, not the service, not the quality, that sort of thing. They just want to get from A to B. Amazon is another good example for fixed mindset because it's, one-click purchases, it's speedy, it's easy, it's convenient. People don't care so much about the whole, experience and exploring and so on. Basically, you just buy it and then you move on to the next thing. For growth mindset, however, you've got IKEA. So your store design, for example, encourages exploration, which is perfect for growth mindset people. People have to browse, they sit, they test, they play, they explore, they do all of that kind of stuff. And people really have to imagine the possibilities, and it's an experience where you go into the store. Nike as well is another good one. So the tagline is all about growth, find your greatness. It targets people looking to challenge themselves and learn. And another great example of the whole community thing, which we talked about earlier, is that they have a training club app. And again, that helps people connect with each other, that helps them grow, and so on. So thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed this brief intro into mindset-based targeting. If you want to reach out to me, best place to reach me is on LinkedIn. And yeah, have a great one.